Peace be upon you. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, peace be upon you. This is a shadow of the trials of Cedo, and the video trials cannot fit in your phone. I apologize deeply. My health is also fine.
There's no
And it couldn't be ours. There was some miscommunication, some problem with the internet. So today's topic for us is next time friendship is often underrated, and maybe people don't discuss it much because they don't practice much. We don't meet lawyers who practice anyone in this law. Obviously, it'll be easier for those who practice and advocate in it. It's easier for them or for those who this is very much related to that law. Those people know more about this law we will talk about today.
After maritime
Really,
leave.
and Maritime love simplicity.
I'd like to get a bit clever here. See,
This is what we call Mediterranean time. Adama reality is also called LAR. First of all, we'll understand what allow means. Whenever we ask the question, what is law, we often hear from people.
tell the public what is it with the people, from the public, with the people, from the public, with the people.
Rules and
Leadership.
regulations govern public behavior,
And someone who violates them
upload the
they
tag.
can leave. This is something that common people say.
But if we look at
The chief who basically says that these are the rules and regulations, but is this word not right for the common people? For us who are advocates or law
2.5
students,
years,
can we say that the law is everywhere? Superior politic percent, inferior political person of the peddler person does the ordering to tell an inferior person what they should do and what happens if they violate it. It's punched in the same way when business, as businesses expanded and doubled, the law also expanded, leading to new laws regarding these businesses. Like if we talk about corporate law,
let's talk. It's less than before.
as our business expanded, so did our need for mice and bananas, now including mouse shipping as part of the business. We differentiate
Understood,
the
but
land we are on. What is our border? The same as the sky.
Such boundaries exist. Decide them as well.
Defines the heavenly boundaries of which country extends where and its limits and what lies beyond.
When the person comes, it's a
He is
violation.
nothing.
And if he
For
violates,
the correct one, the karma, it has been constructed accordingly and will be punished as such. Similarly,
You're saying it.
let's talk about water, as people also call
You
it
listen
sea.
to creed.
You were created internationally, where treaties were made, where contracts were signed between one nation and another.
national wars until treaties happened.
And then
Some agreements were
in some
made.
countries sangrias, this special care was
How wide is
taken
the
for
border?
you and our border.
I have to write. Additionally, Maritime Law ko, we also call it Admiralty Law, meaning what governs things related to ships involved in shipments, meaning it
Here
involves
is
cargo.
yours.
Your ships will deal
Let's go.
either in
Very good.
cargo
Yes.
or passengers.
Can also
Will deal
be
with or
carried.
cherish in dealing with things that are ordered through maritime routes or slightly domestic or international. Your law basically falls into two parts. Maritime law is a branch of international law, which itself is a group of laws put together by
Don't
Kasi,
enter the
eagle
debate.
buying own people. These are customs and treaties, meaning agreements between parties that deal with each other. And this is it's the duty and obligation of every nation and human to do so in this manner. It is mandatory for people to work under the guidelines mentioned to them. Next, we
Why are you
understand that maritime law divides our international matters Let me explain a bit about your merit law, which roughly consists of the body of laws consists of things that fall into our hands, which are conventional. This is your treatise that governs international and private business. Now deal with private business, as I told you. As grades increase, losses also increase. We also have laws because this involves shipments, cargo, or passengers coming and going.
Dreaded older
Deals are being
business.
made regarding business and merchants about water. The offenses that are crimes are also covered by maritime law.
Dealing internationally on the waters, which is called public international law or the law of the sea. But maritime law or admiralty law deals with private business involving our ships and shippings. If there are any crimes involved in this sea and the water, there come the pirates. If they do better, or when their goods are left behind or people are left with damages, we deal with these in our domestic affairs. Maritime law is being applied, private business is also being dealt with. I would also like to talk about international conventions and our flawless convention. The SOLAS Convention was basically an international convention that took place in 1974. It was mentioned in regard to the treaties. People save ships, meaning there are ships in this. It was mentioned for safety on how certain things, they have kept 4 to 5 things in it. This is somewhat ensuring ship safety is subject to several conditions only and only related to the ship. These were not related to people. Then came the Marpol Convention. This was the Marpol Convention. We can also call this the maritime environment, and it's known as pollution prevention. It has been said that what happens in the ocean is a collision, but it's actually garbage, like taking chemicals. So if there is a discharge, some chemical is harmful, dangerous, then the sea life training, it gets affected. It ends it, meaning there, whatever there is, regardless of how many like up fishes or other such items you take, all the moons that are there, it's very much the species are greatly affected. And if the water remains clean, it's for the pollution control. Care was taken for its environment, ensuring that the water, and there should be a sense of natural disposition. Then there was a convention that was also about seafarers. It is about international conventions. The United Nations did it, as did the European Union with the Stockholm Conventions regarding giving. In terms of giving, well, STCW as well as the view of the sport is clear. Digital Video Maritime Regulatory System. So now for that reason, when we were talking at the Marpol Convention, that I insisted on pollution because it was the most important thing. Where you talk about ships, there you discuss pollution when ships enter the water. So what will be the loss? What needs to be considered? It was explained in this. Firstly, dangerous liquids, which are chemicals, should remain in a solid
Why
state.
can't we do it
Because
for
of
makeup?
that, there's a lot.
We'll have some challenges to do.
Additionally, anything thrown into the water is prohibited in ships, including food ships, which she cannot throw any type of garbage into the water. So here it was discussed regarding these matters. That's
Hey,
ours
buddy.
now. That convention, which was an international convention, we moved towards the Maritime Convention. Speaking of the Mapol Convention, I'll mention it first because we're talking about ships. So we'll look at our religion. The one who
Also
made the
searching.
very first port, it was made, ordered by Egg Pop for Noah. And Noah, peace be upon him, in 3578 before Christ. An ark was made, also called a ship, mentioned in our Surah Rahman and also present in Surah Baqarah, meaning the foundation laid by the first ship. It was already placed in the year 3578 BC. Noah, upon him be peace, followed the command given by Allah, and then
The ship is prepared. Now, as the ship arrives,
Why?
it's the nation's turn.
Creates labels internationally.
what is their job? Whether it's transporting vehicles, will transport
Needle.
hearts, or there will be heavy materials, or transporting goods. Either we will be working or our trades will be overseas. They are given a deal. The deal is made. Okay, in ships, you must have heard often sometimes it comes in the news that someone is late,
You'll hear
and all that is
Became an
oil.
L. The L ended up in the
Or there were
water.
chemicals because of which there are so many species because they will receive a lot of naphtha. So this depends on those things, meaning they'll be transported or what we have in terms of resources.
Dave's
I
mare
want
is
you to
ready.
write them down so that you
Even
know
if I
before
forget the
our
compound,
first
the days I
gymnastic
will not
deal.
forget.
This is what we
National
do.
Shipping Laws Part.
Which parts of Pakistan
Has
do we
also
have
died.
at this time? Now we're talking about shipping. The point is, it's either a merchant vessel or either you're in trading pixel or in merchant pixel. This means that either cargo is being dealt with, being moved from one
To
place
go
to
about
another,
finding
or
such
passengers are being transported or hired.
Pakistan, which is our one of the state trading countries, and when
We obviously trade with other countries as well.
Audio.
Our things will also be made into treaties, determining what will be implemented on and what will not. Now, here I will tell you also because which sections deal with when Chef Corner will be responsible. They will be liable for things that are consequential.
what we have
Peace,
here
Rich
is
Port, Satpain.
86.
Karachi Pak Trust Act 1886 deals with this. We say give limit, meaning he is saying how many minutes you should have, how many.
The power it
88
holds is here.
We have another one then.
With us.
Automated teller machine 1990 spiral. This deals with fisheries in Pakistan. It's about domestic law here because we are talking about maritime law. I am telling you about the Fisheries Act of 1897 we have, which deals with fisheries in any part of Pakistan. Afterwards, we have the nodal law of carriage goods. By Act 25 of 1925, it is contained. Regarding the honor of shift, it is being discussed that it will be liable for fewer things. See what honor will be under this person's control. The one that is the law of carriage goods by sea, Act 1925, will be the lading under the honor of the ship. Any loss due to negligence, fault, depth, or inactions, if any loss occurs because of negligence, something goes wrong or some kind of mishap occurs or someone loses their life. So in this regard, that is what it is.
Responsibility.
Consider other things closely.
That means the owner. If read the rest of the things.
Happen.
If
It
so,
is due to their negligence. Anyone responsible for the operation or management or your pilots is not responsible for this. We have the Port Qasim Authority Act 1970. There is an entity known as Bayas June 1973. It has been implemented now.
it will apply to all port areas.
This applies to all the areas of the Port Steam Authority. Besides, the Pakistan Environmental Protection Act 1997 and similar incidents happen in Pakistan. We have the Action Ordinance of 1993. This also completely defies domestic law, that is maritime law through this act. Look into such acts sometimes. We never got much of a chance because we weren't related to it in a way that we could study it in depth. But yes, we can certainly grasp the concept. And my effort is to give you a concept that it's basically time law in solidarity. So we're talking about a concept here. It's something different. We have apps and ordinance discussing this. Talking to a bear. desire.
We have another ordinance at our disposal.
It's very important. That is the Pakistan Merchant Shipping Ordinance.
Taste and see.
We have what involves the carriage of goods, spices. Well, according to the rules, it operates, and here the goods are transported from one place to another. This is Pakistan. Coordinates 2001 deals with it. Now here comes the point where things arrive. Any oil carrying any ship carries any such oil,
So
also
beautiful. I
oil,
must have
any
it.
mix,
Yes, forget
any
about it.
substance, and if the ship carries it and if it is discharged, then it is the owner's responsibility.
This will be honored that it's on top
Then
of
what
it.
will happen to your arrow? You can file a lawsuit and there are penalties for it, meaning fines and other punishments. Now, to what extent will this punishment go? In this manner, if there is any harmful substance, it gets destroyed, be it oil or any mixture, any chemical, such a mixture. And if a discharge occurs, the punishment assigned to the owner will be, the sentence will not be less than 2 years, approximately 2 years, and a fine will also be imposed. 100 diners junctionally. It could extend to 1 million United States dollars. This deals with it from section 554 to 555. These sections seem important to me because they involve punishment. So that's why I said discussing Pakistan Merchant Shipping Ordinance 2001 in chapter 43. We will talk about the Gwadar Port Authority next. We have the Ordinance of 2002.
And another one is the other. And
Wait, Mend. The Protection Act of 2014. All of these are in my bag. Dealing with how Pakistan handles domestic laws for shipping domestically, where to do it. If any crime occurs, they are being dealt with. These are properties. There's some private business happening. They are being dealt with. Heading towards maritime law, which is, these are the bodies of people that works on the question of offense.
it's happening.
Much domestic governing banking time activities, or then private international law governing relationships, must button private entities, also them flip.
The shipping is amazing. It has become, meaning it has been decided.
And here about the oceans, I told you that there are international border lines.
How can you deliver on
up.
these first, as you
Lands
would
are dealt
say?
with to determine the extent of which country they belong to in this manner. He talks about international law, like we say sea law, and also public international law. So it deals with the law of the sea. These people are distinguished in admiralty or maritime, which is the same thing. Admiralty people or maritime people. Both are the same, but this episode of Distinguisher, straight and straight.
Then there's the party.
But thank you. They deal with navigation rights to your mangrove rights and jurisdiction, and the over coastal waters, international law, or relationships a country has with another country.
Treaties or relations concerning these are being discussed.
This is about trading.
We deal with that matter.
CIL or law of the sea is another
which
international law of relationships.
In United Nations, then again, a great
I
era.
would say that admiralty law or maritime law is totally different from the law of the sea. That's a body of law dealing with international law and its navigation.
National rights versus its mandral rights.
Jurisdiction and coast guards are the same, like I told you how our boundaries are made. Similarly, in the water, boundaries are made, then and poster voters to jurisdiction.
Let's meet or see each other.
Relationships that can lend business between one country to another.
Shrinks.
Anyone. It's either business, carrying either passengers or goods, just those two things. In this regard, let me tell you what we have in our meeting today. The contract of sale is coming. A gray
Someone else is buying
where
the net.
if it happens, a concert sale will come here. I think properties exist. When a sale and purchase occur, that's why a contract is made. The contract, it will come into a sale contract, just like we have services now everywhere. there are two things. It happens in business. Either why they sell any goods or you sell your services. Just like adrenaline aids, they are providing their service. Similarly, quadrants of services have emerged. The one who deals in it can also handle the conduct lease. Your contract concerns the carriage of goods, describing how goods are moved from one place to another by sea. If there is a law for this method, when an injury occurs, what is mine? Whether it is maintenance, how it will be provided. This is also told by the insurance contract. So in this, the insurance contract plays a major, it's our pleasure to them. Marine insurance, as he deals with all those things called our contract of insurables. Besides, there is a contract of agency. The contract of pledge is the same as we have learned about our bailment here. Will also be a thing because this is also a way of business in the way that as the corporate side grew, so did the laws keep coming. Some laws to be implemented in a way that were made.
Charity is
in
half
this,
both.
the alterations made and those not previously formed were worked on, and these laws were created. Now here comes the contract of hire. Now this involves matters concerning masters and seamen, indicating that
Doing great.
they also hire for work. Usually it's a one-time conversation that covers everything in this contract. Compensation for sickness and personal injury, which I discussed with you earlier. Here we'll also talk about maintenance and cure when a person travel from one place to another has been made or goods are being transported from one place to another. So there will be risk. When it comes to compensation, the law there deals with it in terms of a contract of compensation. Teach in personal injury. So over there, what there is, in terms of people, their insurance will also be considered, covering this specifically. Anything like that, if there's any mess
happens.
then it's an indication.
Turns cover it up.
Here there is a national and then there is an international law. Now there is what's basically probably a private international law first and foremost.
Hello there.
It has also contributed to public law and public international law. I told you and also mentioned that which is not international it will be called public international law. Maritime law is about your private entities and treaties, deals with bringing in and who is working on what life projects in Pakistan. I also want to tell you, discussing the relevance of working with these acts when we read them. So there are many acts and ordinances. They will basically be taught to you. I have already told you if you read them.
People are
it
liking.
will be very easy to know.
Many people like
Call
us
me
say they
anything
experience certain things.
In any case, if for a person,
Thank you.
it gets decomposed and then there's an injury. So regarding that, if it's the responsible owner,
Look
ship
what's
owner,
here.
crew or pilot, they also cover it up in that regard. They are for 5 notes of
They
lions for
also
students.
compensate for injuries.
Compensation is given to them if they are injured. Then guess, if it is due to your negligence, just like we see looking deeper. If there is negligence on your part, you are liable. God says the responsibility of a person is on another if one wrongs the other. Do's and do's. Understand this is simple and makes it easy. What to do and what not to do, that is what we need to decide. They say what is wrong and what is right. If you do something wrong, all the things the law has told us we cannot do are there. The broad daughter's perspective is a responsibility.
If you still don't need to go, then you still don't need to go. Then must be.
The doctrine of maintenance and cure is rooted in article that deal with the rules of Orient. They are in 1160 AD, obligations that are required for cure. All this about obligation maintenance will study falls under features of law. When you study features of admirable law, you'll realize what it encompasses. Four things exist. Number one, maintenance incur, how maintenance will be given to them, and what will be done. What
things of worship.
talking about your personal injury as a passenger, it's the duty of ship owners to provide reasonable care to passengers traveling from one place to another on the ship. Whether on a cruise, it's the ship officer's responsibility to ensure, I want to nail, that they do not suffer any injury because of them, that they do not face any problem because of them, that they get injured or anything else. In the event that something happens which shouldn't, this deals with personal injuries and to passengers. Then the feature of admin comes to us, maritime. Present, you can also read this in addition to Silverge and Treasure Silverge available with us. You can also check this out. These are also features in Admiralty log. Whether you call it maritime law or Admiralty law, the matter is the same. It's about property law, property as lost at sea, rescued by another. Now let's look at salvage and treasure. What it means is if someone's property gets lost and reaches another person, and that person, showing their honesty, returns it to it's given back, meaning it's one small thing after another. And then they said, we'll do this, and it's a private line. They are of that type, it's like a contract. There is something called pure salvage, which sometimes you can refer to as maritime salvage, which is your contract if something, when it is given back, the benefits are simply that it's so much for them. Daughter's presence echoed, like lending it. Okay, let me make it easier. It's like an award. Edward always says that whenever there's a student who is doing really well, the teacher appreciates them. They do it, and appreciation is a kind of reward for it. Either you win an award if you make arguments in court, and you make very good arguments. Sometimes how they find you, they appreciate you. That's called a reward. You can also consider this. It's not necessary to think that it only involves rewards or rewards. You're getting whispers. Appreciation is also referred to as an award or reward, meaning people are motivated to mutually support and uplift one another. What to do?
It also has a contract.
You can also look at the components present in our maritime law, how aliens work. They are proportionalized. Regarding resales, because we're just taking one ongoing view, I am basically not connected or not involved with the maritime law. My only effort has been to ensure that so many things can be done, my dear. It is what, because a little, this is related to strength, and I have explained to you about so much. Those who advocate and practice will know, but being Pakistani, we know about our treaties just as we know about lands. One should know about water, how work or the crimes that occur, what happens in them. Now, when we read the ordinances and our acts, then we will have an idea what and which losses are there, which leads to what punishments they have. Like we see in Pakistan's village code, it discusses what things are prohibited and the punishments present if one violates these rules. In this way, when we read its acts or ordinances, then we will. Guillain-Barré disease. I had told you about some sections, like I was given a section as a punishment, which was 54, 55, 56. By 56 is being mentioned here, discussing the declension of the owner.
In this, we were discussing,
The second thing is that it would be really great if another lecture for maritime people could be arranged. Other advocates give lectures on peace whose knowledge is greater than mine. It'll be great for us to learn more, and the big overview was the conclusion. Now, let's move on to the conclusion that number one is maritime law, referred to or also known as Admiralty law. And this Aristotle thing, the system operates on two types, public and private, but it is public international meaning
Good
perception out
night.
sessions. This is about domestic law, not about international law. We are discussing domestic law. So, but talking about discussing private international business, not about public international business. For example, as we say, common law versus civil law. Now, some people think that common law and civil law are the same. There is a slight difference. So, in the same way, maritime
Share
or
and delivery.
Leo is uniquely different. Public international law here deals with private parties that are doing business, and the business that's running is about shipping. Where there's water, there are ships. How to buy ships, how the contacts are maintained, how contracts will be done, or you will hire goods, will carry cargo or hire passengers, two types of things. If they carry goods, then the laws and rules that have been told to us, when we come across something, we will read it thoroughly. Just like I told you that in Pakistan, when we look at American MLA, we have many acts and ordinances, and obviously we have to read all of them together. It's not that easy. Everyone has to read and understand. And what our international, meaning public international sea laws are, is that your border, countries are divided when it comes to nations form treaties with each other, and these deals with public international business in the law of the sea. It deals with maritime and admiralty law, focusing on private business dealings. And if there are conventions, treaties, contracts, agreements, will be devil from its wall. I hope there are many obviously questions in your mind. And this is a layer that we haven't explored much because our mind doesn't go there. Many students are into stable, criminal, or family side. Now, well, corporations have largely taken over by God's grace. So obviously, maritime law was a separate topic altogether. We just wanted an overview of what basically happens. How does it work? So reading acts and ordinances will make it much easier for us. All the IPOs you might have written a draft ordinance for. If not, I'll send you a sandwich, no issue there, and all these good bases.
Basically, this is corporate inertia because it's being dealt with.
Initially, it was called a company, then it expanded. This law is extensively expanded. Then it came to be known as corporate law. Initially, people thought it was just about companies' payment points. It's about the company's affairs, but their dealings are not just corporate. It's an expanding concept dealing with businesses, transforming what wasn't business before into one now. They turned it into a business, so there will also be deals regarding it. And in some, there will be alterations, some amendments, more sprints, some will end, and new laws will also come. Will do. As things go on, they'll keep becoming easier.
Therefore,
God willing, next week we'll talk about a new topic. I will be present before you. I believe a good number of you would have understood what maritime or admiralty law is. It's a concept and quite interesting.
Mr. Zanjin, this is Ireland.
That much also.
Defining corporate intricately with international law is what this branch is about, embracing simplicity.
The one you read in international
More
than that. I am in PDF.
We'll make the effort to give you two. Yes, this is
a
big.
good thing because I've worked on
I
it.
have made some notes, and these notes that I have made will help
In
you a
garage
lot.
working.
It will prove instrumental for people once you read it. And I will also provide our ordinances and acts. I'll try to include that in a PDF. I'll give it to you so that you can read it and understand the extent of the research I've done. Check this out. It will surely be useful for you folks. Next week, we'll come with a new topic, God willing. Goodbye until then.